The Bucks waived Damian Lillard to sign Myles Turner to a 4-year, $107 million deal, and it shocked everyone that he left Indiana to go to Milwaukee. But here's what he had to say about leaving Indiana and signing with the Bucks.
Myles, I guess just for you, free agency for the first time, how did you decide Milwaukee was a place that you thought you'd want to play and how it might fit?
Yeah, setting was important. It was a ball place Southern Hawaii, so not a bad place to, do some free agency work. But for me, ultimately it was about just staying competitive. 2 years ago, got to Eastern Conference Finals. Obviously, last year we got to the finals. But being there, being part of it, winning basketball, has just changed my entire perspective on this league. And I saw a chance to remain competitive here. And John and even Doc has assured me that winning is the top priority here. And we just align with our visions.
Kind of with everything you guys have gone through in Indianapolis, like the idea of playing somewhere else, how did you kind of come to terms with like that might be your reality, or that you might play for a different team other than the only team that you had played for previously?
Yeah, it's all I've ever known. I never switched high schools. I went to University of Texas. I've only been on one team in the league. And I was open to it. I really much was. Becoming a man is a part of change. Change is inevitable. And when I saw an opportunity for myself to, what I thought to be successful, I had to take it, and just was a favorable position for myself and my family. So, again, man, I just once the opportunity presented itself, I wanted to, just take full advantage of it.
What was the moment or time you realized that returning might not be the right thing for you, and what made the Bucks the right choice instead of a return?
There was a lot of decisions that had to go into it. It wasn't an easy one. I spent 10 years of my life in one place. I was a teenager when I first got to the indie market, and when I just sat back and started to evaluate things and just see where I was in my career, see where I was in my life, and what I wanted for myself. I just kind of saw what the Bucks were putting together, and I just was I was excited about the opportunity. I had a great conversation with Doc and John, and obviously my agent as well, and my family. And I think we just we all decided, and ultimately I decided that this is where I needed to be.
You obviously made a heartfelt message to Pacers Nation when you left and whatnot. You're also close with your teammates. I'm just curious, did you talk to them about the decision? And now coming here in Milwaukee in this opportunity, some of the other media members mentioned about, they had to waive Dame and make a big financial commitment to you. How do you feel about all of those moves being done to bring you here? Is there any extra sense of pressure, even more on top of what you put on yourself as a player?
Yeah, to answer the first part of your question, right when the news broke, I made sure that I sent, we had a group message, with the Pacers, and I sent it to every single person on the team. I want to make sure that, I just informed them. They didn't have to find out, through social media, anything like that. So, I hit them. A couple of them hit me back. There's a saying I hate when they say, the grass ain't greener on the other side. I'm confident enough to say that the grass is going to be greener wherever I go. And I truly believe that. And, being on this side of things, I understand, what was done to bring me here. But, I'm in the prime of my career, still in the young part of the prime of my career, more focused than ever. I'm just obviously more motivated than ever, getting to the very last day of the season, not being able to see it through. So, I'm very confident in my abilities and the confidence Ross and this group, to make some things happen. I've heard somebody else say, talking about the Eastern Conference this year. It's going to be an interesting season, but I got full confidence. And again, I'm excited for the opportunity, but to answer your question, ain't no pressure.
Myles, you obviously made this choice knowing it was the best for you, but did you sense there was any negotiations you liked with the Pacers, and how hard was it for you to walk away from them?
Well, yeah, of course it was hard. Like I said, I mentioned before, you spend the entirety of your career there. You make a lot of relationships in that city. It's crazy, man. You watch kids grow up, kids I started with that were in middle school or in college now, little stuff like that, as you know. But, to answer that question, there was alignment issues, I think, on that side, as far as me and them. And, just out of respect for the organization, out of respect for this organization, I'm not going to speak on that too much. But, again, this was just the best decision, for me, moving forward, and the best fit, I would think.